Hello, learners. Welcome to today's lecture on Meditations in Westminster Abbey by Joseph Addison. To begin with, let us talk about author. Sir Joseph Addison is one of the greatest and most delightful essayists in English. He became so popular and famous that Dr. Samuel Johnson's advice to those people who wanted to improve their language skills was give your days and nights to Addison. Addison was a clergyman's son born in 1672 at Millstone. He was educated at Charterhouse, London, and Oxford. At Charterhouse, he forged a lifelong friendship with Sir Richard Steele, with whom he founded the two premier periodicals of English language, the Tatler and the Spectator. He had not written in English, but he has written even in Latin, which was the international language of that time. And his Latin poems attracted the attention of famous 17th century poet John Dryden. Joseph Addison was a successful career serviceman, and he became Commissioner of Excise and a Lord Commissioner of Trade, and he even contested election on the ticket of Whig Party and became Member of Parliament. Coming to the essay, Meditations in Westminster Abbey. First of all, what is Westminster Abbey? Westminster Abbey is an ancient church and graveyard where famous and celebrity of England and Europe are buried. Sir Joseph Addison starts his essay with a classical tradition of beginning an essay with a phrase that is connected with the main theme of the essay. Here he begins the essay with the Latin phrase, which was the international language of that time, and this phrase was of famous poet Horace, which means pale death beats with impartial foot at the castles of the rich and huts of the poor people. Joseph Addison enters graveyard in a serious mood, and he observes that most of the graves in the yard recorded nothing but the date of birth and date of death of a person that appears like a satire on human life, as if he had done nothing in his life except taking birth on one date and dying on another. Joseph Addison then involves himself and observes the digging of a grave. And while digging a grave, he finds the soil moist and thinks that this soil must have formed a part of the body of a human being not long ago. This made him think that death is a great leveler, as man and women, beautiful and ugly, soldiers and monks, priests and enemies, and friends are all buried in the same soil undistinguishedly after their death. Then author comes to epitaphs and inscriptions. What are epitaphs and inscriptions? These are the lines of wisdom, lines of knowledge that are written on the graves of the people, teaching morality to the people. In the graveyard, there were some graves that had description of the person in so excessive terms that if it would have been possible for that person to come back to life and read those praises that his friends have given him, he would blush. Some epitaphs on the graves are in the foreign languages, Latin and Greek, that cannot be understood by the common man easily. Author also finds that there were some graves of the poets that had no lines written on them, while there were graves of other people which had poetic lines written on the graves. Then author comes to the monuments. Author feels that since monuments are the part of the culture, and looking at the monuments, a foreigner forms the idea of the advancement of culture and society of a nation. So the lines written on the national memorials should be approved by the man of learning, and then only they should be put on these memorials. Author finds that the memorials of the British people do not represent the person as he actually was during his life. He makes a comparison between English and Dutch memorials, and he gives the example of the statue of English Admiral Sir Cloudesley Shovel, who was a brave, tough, but a simple man in his life, but in the statue he has been represented as a weak, fashionable, and short-statured man. Author finds that the Dutch memorials are much better as they represent their generals and admirals as they were in their life when they were alive. They even decorate the statues of their admirals with naval ornaments and coral festoons. In the end, author says that the graves of different people evoke different feelings. Author says that whenever he sees the grave of young people, his heart melts with pity for the parents who had to witness death of their own children. When he sees the graves of ambitious people who have quarreled throughout their lives, shows the futility of strife. Whenever he sees the graves of beautiful people, every emotion of desire goes out in him, and whenever he sees the grave of great, rich, and famous people, the feeling of envy dies in him. In the last, whenever he sees the graves of old people, he feels that lamenting for those people whom we are going to join sooner or later is a futile exercise. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Today's assignment: why does author consider Dutch memorial as better than English ones? Death is a great leveler. Elucidate. And what type of feelings are produced when we see the graves of different people? Give your response on WhatsApp number 93141 21841. Thanks and have a nice day. Thank you very much.